Vaccinated Americans should mask up in most parts of the country. I'm Skyler Henry in Washington with the latest guidelines as Delta variant cases continue to spike.
Also, we check out an art exhibit designed for man's best friend.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
An arrest in Kansas City leads to a federal indictment for a bank robbery in Joplin. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, a federal grand jury in Springfield indicts a Kansas City man for one of 2 bank robberies police believe he committed last week. Authorities say 57-year-old Leland Graham robbed the Great Southern Bank in Joplin last Monday. According to the court affidavit, police received a tip the next day identifying Graham as the robber. Officers in Kansas City then found Graham in a car, and he led them on a short chase before they caught him. Hours before the Joplin bank robbery, surveillance images showed a man robbing the Landmark National Bank in Lewisburg, Kansas. Both suspects share similar descriptions and both left in a white sedan. However, a federal grand jury has yet to return an indictment for the Lewisburg robbery. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Kansas likely will be prosecuting that case. The city of Joplin's online payment option is now back online. It was down due to what the city describes as a, quote, network security incident. City officials say their investigation into that incident is ongoing. Travelers on parts of Highway 69 and 69B in Crawford County, Kansas should expect delays next week. Beginning Monday, state crews will be resurfacing US 69 between US 400 and K47, excluding the part within Pittsburgh city limits. They'll also resurface 69B through the towns of Franklin and Arma. KDOT says a pilot car will direct one-lane traffic through the work zones and that drivers can expect delays of 15 minutes or less. Well, definitely wouldn't want to be stuck in a delay with the top down in the heat.
No, you do not. Somebody made a good point the other day. I heard somebody say, you know it's hot when you see people that have convertibles driving with their tops up so the AC doesn't leak out. You want to start with a little kids' corner science fun fact?
Sure.
Okay, so I had a great question from a kiddo earlier this morning. And she asked me, she said, Michael, why is it so hot? Because I keep on seeing clouds during the afternoon, but the clouds are supposed to keep the sun from warming us up. And I thought, what a marvelous question by this young woman. And so I did a little research to make sure that I gave her the right answer before I did, and made sure I was okay by saying this. You know how humid we've been, and that's why we've got a big discrepancy between our temperature and what it feels like?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well, what's cloud formation? Cloud formation is simply water evaporation. Now, this is interesting, Tanya. I found this out. Our clouds have a tendency to form so quickly right now because, remember, we talked about those West Coast wildfires? Clouds and that evaporation, they like something to cling on to. They like dust particles. They like smoke particles. And since that is still hanging over us, that's why they will gather so quickly. But also, too, remember, it's just pulling all that water up, and it's so humid right now, it does not help us cool down one bit.
Probably also why they are so dark, or you'll see those darker clouds, but yet they're not giving us any moisture.
That's a great point because of the amount of precipitation and the precipitable water and the humidity that we have up in the air. It's soaking all that up. Now, sometimes that's why you get that 5 to 10 minute of a sprinkle, but it just doesn't hold enough water to really give us a good rain or cool us off.
There's our weather
That's
lesson
why
for
we
the
have
day.
clouds outside of Television City right now, and we'll be rather quick with this one. Thank you for the wonderful question from that young lady today. She was absolutely marvelous. Our temperature's already in the 90s, so an idea of where we're headed, as of course we not only have the heat advisory, but look what we have expansion of. That is the excessive heat warnings in the magenta color, as Tanya liked to point out, in the purplish color there in our counties, as it is going to be just a scorcher of a day. Now, coming up here in just a little bit, of course, we will have to go into our heat index numbers to see how many are in triple digits. I've got a safe feeling that at some point in time, we're just going to say all of them.
Oh. Yeah, we're not even going to guess. What do you have, 20 on there?
Yeah, like I said. I
all
think,
but 4 right now?
I think it's just a safe bet to say everybody.
Yeah, it feels hot. Just be safe. All right, thanks, Michael. The CDC has come out with new mask guidance as the Delta variant of the coronavirus spreads quickly in many areas of the country. Skylar Henry has more details from Capitol Hill.
CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says new data shows even vaccinated people could end up being a threat to others.
If you are vaccinated and you are one of those rare breakthrough infections, you actually have the capacity to pass it to somebody else.
Dr. Walensky said that's one of the reasons the CDC has changed its mask-wearing guidance. The agency now says even people who are vaccinated should wear masks indoors in areas of high COVID transmission. That applies to more than 63% of all counties in America. Dr. Walensky says because the majority of school kids aren't yet vaccinated, the CDC is also recommending all students, teachers, and staff in grades K through 12 wear masks.
We don't have vaccines available yet for children 11 and younger. And there are children who are 12 to 17. Only about 30% of them so far going into the school year have been vaccinated.
The House of Representatives is following the new guidance requiring masks indoors. And vaccine mandates could be on the way for more than 2 million federal workers. The White House is finalizing an order that federal workers and contractors will soon be required to confirm they are either vaccinated or get tested regularly.
That's under consideration right now, but if you're not vaccinated, you're not nearly as smart as I thought you were.
The Department of Veteran Affairs announced Monday that it is giving its frontline healthcare workers 2 months to be fully vaccinated. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
President Biden is expected to announce the mandate tomorrow. The Joplin School Board meets to finalize plans for the upcoming fall semester. 2 major things on the agenda last night included an order that would require all students to be masked when riding Joplin school buses, as well as a vaccine incentive awarding employees a $25 incentive to get vaccinated. It also includes a chance for them to win $2,500.
Oh yes, I'm pleased because anything that our district can do to help increase the safety of our faculty, our staff, our students, and then ultimately the greater community is worth looking into, and also to minimize quarantines and keep us open.
The school year will start with voluntary masking by students and staff and could change depending on what COVID numbers in the area will look like in the fall. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, an art gallery in Hong Kong opens its doors to our canine companions. We find out why it's not just the dogs who are having a howl of a good time. And later, we're making teriyaki chicken thighs in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. An art gallery in Hong Kong is catering to our four-legged friends. Experts say there are also health benefits for their owners. CBS's Ian Lee gives us a tour.
It's fair to say this place has gone to the dogs. An art gallery in Hong Kong is catering to our canine companions, with works hung high for us and low for them. This owner praises the exhibit's unique artwork, but it's hard to tell whether her dog agrees or just wants to leave. Not too many places in this crammed city of 7.5 million welcome both dogs and their owners. These folks with their pup Pee-Pee let us in on a secret. For them, it's more about hanging out and having fun with Pee-Pee in a public place than appreciating the art. The gallery offers a pause-on experience as well. And who could blame this lab for being more interested in the food bowl ball pit? Bonding with your pet through art, though, can also be good for you.
Maybe looking at art or making art together with your pets can definitely benefit to your mental health.
Man's best friend is known for being loving and loyal. After a trip to this gallery, you can add cultured too. Ian Lee, CBS News.
The psychotherapist also says building new experiences with your pet also helps with bonding. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Looking to save at the meat counter? If so, we've got one of the best food buys and we're going to show you how to turn it into a restaurant-worthy dinner.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Just going to write it out a little bit more here as we wrap up July, but I do promise you by the time we get to the 7-day forecast and we talk about the beginning of August, we are actually going to get a little reprieve from the heat. But for the time being, we were talking about even if the cloud cover was to get heavier, it would not matter, because that is simply the amount of humidity that we have hanging over the 4 states right now. It has been a gorgeous morning so far, though, over 7th and Rangeline. And look at this, we're already pressing up about 89 degrees and feeling like 100. Got to that triple-digit point here at the noon hour, and the humidity at 65%. You know, just to give you an idea, when we get one of those clear sunny days, say earlier in the month, or even if it was late June, that humidity, even about right now, it'd be about 45%. In the afternoons, it would drop down to about 35%. That 20% makes a huge difference when we talk about the temperature, but what our body actually thinks it is. Ranging anywhere right now from the high 80s into the low 90s, and even though it doesn't look too bad because, you know, you go, we're in the yellow category, it certainly could be worse if we were in the green. Now, just throw up those triple digits just about everywhere, topping out as much as 105 in Neodesha, Parsons, and Independence. But if it makes you feel any better, if you're in Carthage, Mount Vernon, Cassville, or Neosho, your heat index readings are 99 right now. Let's also remember we have about 2.5 hours before we get to our peak heating time. Now, the heat advisory we've been used to, that's the counties indicated in orange, but we've got a new development for this afternoon, and that is the magenta color that has popped up. That is an excessive heat warning. If you harken back to yesterday, it was really about 3 counties in northeast Oklahoma that were in the excessive heat warning. But now we've had the Wichita National Weather Service, the Springfield National Weather Service, and also the one out of Tulsa chime in and expand those. That is an indicator that our heat index readings are going to be about in between 110 and 112 by the time we get done with the afternoon. And we're not the only ones with the expansion of those warnings. We've seen them through portions of the Deep South, up through Arkansas, Oklahoma, through us, and then in Minnesota as well. I guess if there's one good thing to say about our advisories and warnings, if you'll notice very top up by the Canadian border, we have been able to recede those just a little bit. And here's why. While the SKYWATCH Storm Tracker is clean for us, I want to kind of focus in on the jet stream. You'll notice it kind of has a little easterly push as far as the ridge goes. And so while it was hanging way up here yesterday, the fact that it sank a little bit, and you can tell, that's why North Dakota no longer has those. But you go North Dakota straight down to the central portion of the United States. And while we should say, yeah, you know, it's July, we'd be accustomed to this. I tell you what, it's going to be one of those prolonged heat waves, and that is honestly the problem. Severe thunderstorm risk map has all eyes focused up on the Great Lakes region. And while it hasn't been too bad so far, they really won't get to their peak hours until about 4 or 5 this afternoon. But even with that being said, multiple storm reports coming out of that same area classified as the high level, including 60-mile-an-hour winds and multiple reports of hail. Now, back here in the 4 states, we just got to find a way to stay safe and stay comfortable. I gave up using the word cool. Just stay comfortable here for not only today, but all the way into the weekend. Overnight, an indicator of what Thursday is going to be. Mid-70s. That's as low as we're going to go. Any of those raindrops that you do see that spit for 5 to 10 minutes will be south of I-44. And then as we cruise into Thursday, prepare for those heat warnings to just stick around, because 96 is going to be our key number all the way through the end of July. I guess one nice thing we can think about, Tanya, is there when we look at the beginning of August for Monday and Tuesday, at least there are 80s on the horizon.
Yeah, for sure. Looking forward to that. Some light at the end of the tunnel.
Just got to get there first. Sorry for all you people that do have convertibles. They're going to be laughing at me on Monday and Tuesday because they will have the top down then.
Yeah, it'll be nice. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's 4-state hero, Sergeant Raymond Weeks in the U.S. Air Force. The Joplin native joined the military in 1965. He was stationed in NATO's underground facilities in Turkey. Sergeant Weeks received a commendation medal for his service. To Sergeant Raymond Weeks, we thank you, our 4-state hero. Today's recipe will help you trim the family food budget, but it doesn't cut corners on taste. Howard shows us how to make teriyaki chicken thighs in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
You know, when I was at the market the other day, I was reminded how budget-friendly chicken thighs are. So I picked some up so I could share with you a recipe that is one of my favorite dinner time standbys. These are bone-in chicken thighs, and just because they're such a bargain, don't think for a second that they're not tender, flavorful, or meaty. To start, we place our chicken thighs in a plastic storage bag along with some soy sauce, scallions, a bit of lime juice, a couple of tablespoons of brown sugar, a little honey, crushed red pepper, and a bit of garlic. Now we seal this up and into the fridge it goes so all the flavors can marry overnight. Then you can cook them up either on a grill pan or on your outdoor grill. We want to cook them until no pink remains and the skin is caramelized. Serve these up over some rice or, better yet, on a bed of Asian slaw and call the troops to the table. If you like moist, meaty chicken, then this is a must-have. To get the recipe for what we call our teriyaki chicken thighs, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a teriyummy way for you to say, ooh, it's so good. Teriyaki.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4 state market prices.
Big development this morning has been heat advisories. No, they're a thing of the past. We're into excessive heat warnings now for those counties indicated in magenta. An indicator that later on this afternoon it'll feel in between about 110 to 114. 96 is going to be our normal temperatures throughout the week, but remember, here's where we stand right now when you walk outside.
Michael, I have to say thank you for the use of the color name magenta.
I had some advice on that because I may be a tad bit colorblind and I'm not a Pantone poster, and I have a morning anchor that actually advised me that magenta would be a good word to use.
Well done, both of you.
Ask and you shall receive. All right, what do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, athletes like gymnast Simone Biles and tennis player Naomi Osaka are raising awareness about making mental health a priority. Both stepped away from their high-profile competitions to focus on their mental health, while psychologists say they both made a brave move in Health Watch. Plus, new guidance from the CDC says everyone should go back to wearing masks indoors in certain parts of the country. And we're going to hear if the change will impact policies in healthcare settings or cities in our area. Joplin also celebrates 150 years at 5.
All right, thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.